my name is Matt Coffman, and I'll be reporting today on muscular dystrophy. Muscular dystrophy is a collective term denoting a group of genetic disorders that results to the progressive degeneration of skeletal muscles. Individuals affected with this disorder apparently lack information on their genes that prevents their body from making a specific protein necessary for muscle contraction. There's actually, as you know now, that it is a genetic disorder and it's an inherited disorder and disease, but there are actually 9 different types of muscular dystrophy. All the different types are distinguished and categorized, if you will, by the main part of the body that the muscular dystrophy is affecting. Besides that, they are also distinguished by the age at which symptoms usually start, pattern of muscle weakness, speed at which the disease progresses, involvement of other tissues besides the main muscle it's affecting, and the pattern of inheritance. Muscular dystrophy is actually pretty rare in comparison to other diseases. The most common type of muscular dystrophy, only 1 out of every 50,000 people usually develop that. The other 8 types are even more rare than 1 out of 50,000. The disorder, if you will, like I said before, is about a protein that's not functioning properly. As many of us may know, protein is essential for muscle development and also to sustain muscle rhythmic contractions and to keep muscles functioning properly. And the reason why muscular dystrophy happens is that protein isn't functioning properly. The signs of muscular dystrophy, early signs can include experiencing a delay in walking, having large calf muscles, falling more often than children at the same age to make sure the progression is on par. Walking on their tiptoes is usually a dead giveaway. If they're constantly walking on their tiptoes, the students will display that. Having problems getting up from sitting or a lying position, students tend to have a problem with that, is an early sign. And students also may experience a delay in using language and communication skills. This here is a picture that I was able to pull online that actually does a pretty good job depicting what a student with muscular dystrophy may look like. As you can see, they're standing up on their tiptoes, they have large calves, an arched back, and almost sort of a bloated stomach with their shoulders propped straight back. These are common signs of muscular dystrophy. Also, you'll notice the thin upper thigh as opposed in a ratio to the very thick calf. This is obviously not normal muscle contraction and not normal muscle shape, and is common for students who develop muscular dystrophy. The symptoms of muscular dystrophy actually are different for each kind of muscular dystrophy, but they do have some similarities. For example, the symptoms of muscular dystrophy often include problems with coordination, mobility. They have frequent falls when they try to move around, which is why if you've ever seen a student in your middle school or high school that has muscular dystrophy, they are either assisted with some sort of walking sticks, canes, or some even have to use a wheelchair if the muscular dystrophy is too severe. Also, they'll have muscle weakness, general muscle weakness, and joint stiffness, which can cause a lot of different things as they age. Also, speaking of as they age, I was able to find that the average life expectancy for students and people with muscular dystrophy has a pretty broad range, but you generally see the life expectancy anywhere from 30 to 50 years old. Once again, that depends on how early the muscular dystrophy is assessed and diagnosed, and overall just the severity of the muscular dystrophy depends a lot, that has a lot to determine the life expectancy of students with muscular dystrophy. As I just mentioned, the diagnosing of muscular dystrophy, if a person with weak muscles that becomes weaker over time, that student may have muscular dystrophy, as you may expect in a normal student with normal functioning muscles, that their muscles would become stronger over time as they grow and as they develop, whereas a student with muscular dystrophy, generally they'll become weaker as the older they get. Also, they have high levels of a chemical in their body called creatine kinases, or CPK, found in the blood. That generally is a giveaway of muscular dystrophy. Also, besides that, there are a couple other tests that you can do to diagnose, the doctors can do to diagnose whether a student has muscular dystrophy or not. A test called an electromyogram, or an EMG, and this involves electrical pulses being sent through the muscles to see how the muscles react to this. And the reason and how they can do this is by doing the same test to normal functioning muscles, students with normal functioning muscles and without this disease. Furthermore, one of the final ways to diagnose muscular dystrophy is to do a muscle biopsy, which is just as you may expect it to be, where a little section of the muscle is actually removed, examined by a medical professional, and they can tell by the muscle fibers whether or not the muscle has been contracting normally or whether or not it's going to ever start. As far as treatments or preventing muscular dystrophy, there's really no cure for it as of now, although scientists are hard at work at it, as it is a very serious and very deadly disease. As I mentioned earlier, the life expectancy really is not beyond 50 years old on the high side. However, there are some things you can do. You can exercise frequently to try and eliminate joint stiffness, also trying to get the muscles to start maybe sparking and start to contract, and that will ultimately help and elongate your life expectancy. But besides that, there's really no medication out there or cure out there that's going to prevent this or cure this. I do have some pictures of students with muscular dystrophy, some less severe than others. We'll start off with one of the less severe types. Now, this student is in a wheelchair as his legs are not functioning properly in his calves and thighs due to the muscular dystrophy. But the student, as you can tell, besides being in the wheelchair, appears to be functioning pretty normally. He does have an assistant there in the classroom to help him out, as his hands may also have some muscle issues. But he seems to be engaged in the learning and seems to be relatively, learning relatively well. Moving on to that, though, this is actually a really nice, cool picture. You see a student with more severe muscular dystrophy, but he's actually graduating from high school here. So it's good to see that there are programs out there that can help these students succeed, no matter how severe their disorder may be. But you can tell also in the wheelchair, the bone and muscle structure in the face is just slightly more obscure, if you will, than the first student. But definitely this student has a more severe case of muscular dystrophy. One of the more severe cases is this picture here. As you can see, this is a little bit of an older gentleman that has muscular dystrophy, not necessarily a high school student. In the wheelchair, once again, that seems to be more of a common theme. But you can see right off the bat that muscular atrophy has definitely taken effect, as this man's arms are extremely skinny, legs extremely skinny. Furthermore into that, the man has the shape and the form in which his arms and his legs go, obviously very much affected by the muscular dystrophy, this being a very severe case of muscular dystrophy. Some important things, especially as going to be future teachers, dealing with helping students in the classroom that have muscular dystrophy. I was able to find a really good source on a website, British Columbia Ministry of Education's website, about different classroom strategies because of students that may have muscular dystrophy in your P through 12 classroom. First and foremost, you should meet with the student and their parents early on in the school year to help determine the student's issues and what accommodations they may need. Look into their IEP plans and try and figure out the best way that you can help them succeed and move forward in school. A good thing to do is talk to the class as a teacher. Talk to the class about the student who has muscular dystrophy. First, it's a good idea to get the parents' approval on that. But make sure that the other students know what's going on with the student with the disease, and make sure that they understand and are more helping and not so much critical or criticizing of the students, but try and help the other students understand, as it's something, like I said, is pretty rare to see. If necessary, schedule bathroom breaks sooner to assist the students with muscular dystrophy. Encourage the students to remain as active and engaged as possible. Try different strategies, whether it be on computers, handouts, group work, things like that, to change it up for the students. That really could go for any student, but it is listed for students with muscular dystrophy specifically. There are many others, but those are some of the main ones. Muscular dystrophy overall, from all the research I can do, that I can see, while it seems to be more of a rare disease in comparison to others, it is a very serious degenerative disease that affects muscles, which we may think of just being, biceps or, triceps, whatever that may be. But really, the more important muscles are the internal muscles. A lot of people take this for granted, but we need muscles in order to remain breathing. And sometimes, unfortunately, students who have muscular dystrophy aren't fortunate enough to have those certain muscles working, and they're not able to live past a very young age. So it's a rare disease, but it is a very degenerative, very serious disease that takes way too many lives way too early. So the more that we know about it, the more that we can teach about it, the more awareness that we can cause, the better off we're going to be, and the better we're going to be able to teach our students with and without this disease. I hope this helps. I hope you learned something. Definitely get involved. Definitely try your best to learn as much as you can. And like I said, make a difference in some of these kids' lives. Thank you. Once again, my name is Matt Coffman, and this is my EDS 360 Project 2.